Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make tech house like Chris Lake. So, as usual, you get the project file and the samples from this video in the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because they'll be available shortly without... Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make tech house like Chris Lake. So, as usual, you can get the project file and the samples and the MIDI and the presets and all that kind of stuff from this video in the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it'll be available shortly. And yeah, let's get started. So, this is what we heard in the intro. We're at 125 BPM, pretty standard tech house kind of thing. And the first sound we have here is the bass, which sounds like this. So, I'll show you the notes here first. This is the bass line. It's just in F sharp. It's pretty simple. It's basically just playing this thing around like F sharp minor, like we have F sharp, then it just goes down to that E and then up to G. Again, pretty simple stuff. The only real important things to note here are like the syncopation and kind of like the structuring. Like we have this part where you can see the notes are very straight. Like it's just a quarter note here and then 2 eighth notes. And then it goes into this part here with the sort of like syncopated 16 notes, kind of like, you know, stuff like that. Just having like kind of a bouncy bass line where it's got a little bit of variation in the rhythm, I think is really important for the style. And you also see none of the notes touch each other. So if I put the legato on here, you can hear it's a lot less funky. So yeah, having those be a little bit more staccato is definitely pretty important for this kind of bass sound. So for the sound on this one, I made this using Operator, and it's actually pretty simple. Basically, all we have going on here is just 4 sine waves. You can see I've just got the envelope on the second one like that. Other than that, they're all pretty simple. You can see I've got the chorus pitch on the second one down an octave, and I've got the fine tuning on that last one detuned a little bit just to give it a little bit of kind of like, you know, some movement like that. But yeah, that's really it for inside of Operator. After that, I just have a little bit of chorus. You can see we have this set like this. This is what's giving it a bit of space. With these kind of bass lines, they're not that hard to make, but you want them to sound really big, and a chorus is a really good way to do that. So yeah, you can hear without it. And then with it, it just helps to give it kind of like a little bit of a bigger sound. After that, we have a little bit of saturation. It's just giving it a bit more kind of like texture and grit. Here's without it. And then with it, so yeah, just kind of beefing it up a bit. And after that, we have a bit of drum bus, which is pretty much just doing the same thing. You can hear without it versus with it. Yeah, it's just kind of beefing it up. After that, we have this EQ8, which is just actually cutting out a little bit around like 250 hertz, just kind of like some of those muddy, sort of like boxy frequencies. So here's without it. And with it, you can hear, yeah, it just kind of helps clean that up a little bit. After that, we just have a compressor side chaining into the kick, and that is it for the bass. So the next thing we have here is the kick, which sounds like this. And so what this is it's just a pretty punchy, kind of like standard house kick, I guess. With Chris Lake's style, you know, it's really clean, and I don't want to say dry, but it's just got that very clean and kind of crisp sound. And so that's the type of kick that I've gone for here. Just like a really punchy, tight kick. It's not got a whole lot of noise to it, you know, it's just really clean and just punches through the mix. So yeah, and then you can see that's just what we got going on here. I did tune this a little bit. You can see I've got the detune down a little bit. So the reason for this is because you can see if I turn that off, it's hitting the right note. We're in F sharp here, as you saw with the bass, but it's a little bit high. So that detune just gets it down there. We can even maybe put it up a little bit more. So it's just perfectly on the note. So after that, we've just got a little bit of drum bus. You can see I've got the drive up a little bit. I've got the crunch up a little bit. And then I've got this boom here as well. That's tuned to F sharp. And you can hear it. Here's without this. And then with it. So you can hear it just kind of takes it and beefs up a bit. It adds that little bit of boom, as well as like the drive and the crunch, just kind of adding a lot of overall texture to the sound and kind of fatness. After that, we just have the EQ8, and what this is doing is just a little cut around like 230 hertz. It's kind of similar to the bass. With this style, you know, you want to have that really tight, kind of like clean low end, and so you want to get rid of a lot of these boxy frequencies in like the kick and the bass and stuff. So that's why I'm doing this so much. So here's without this. And then with it, you can hear it's just a little subtle thing that helps to clean it up and kind of open it up a little bit. So after that, I have a bit of processing on this group here. What this is I just have the bass and the kick grouped together to kind of glue them together a little bit. So here's with no effects. And with everything. So you can hear it just helps to kind of glue the low end together a little bit more and just make the overall sound a lot tighter. So the first thing we have here is this drum bus. And what I'm doing with this, as you can see, I've just got a little bit of drive, a little bit of crunch. I've got the damp turned up so it's not affecting the, it's not doing like a low pass or anything like that. And then it's just kind of fattening everything up. Here's without it. And then with it. So yeah, that's pretty simple. Like I said, just kind of adds a bit more beef to the sounds and makes it a bit fatter. After that, we have a bit of compression. And so what I'm doing with this is just kind of helping to compress those peaks and bring the kick and the bass a little bit closer together. This really helps to gel the low end together because the kick and the bass are really the only low end things in the mix. If I turn those off, it's all like high end and mid range. And so this is why I have these grouped together. This is why I have stuff like this compressor. Like again, this is just kind of gluing these together and making the low end a lot tighter. So I just have not too much. You can see the threshold isn't down too low. And then I have the attack all the way up so it's not messing with the transient of the kick. So the last thing that's on here is just this EQ8. And what this is doing is you can see it just turns on in that last bar there. And that's just doing like a high pass. Pretty simple stuff, but it's a nice way to do a transition. You just have something like that, and then when it comes back in with the full low end, it feels a lot stronger. So that is really it for the low end bus. Next thing I have here is this little zap sound, which sounds like this. And so what this is doing is, this is kind of like a percussion sound you can hear. It's playing off of the hi-hat. It's just playing on the upbeats like that. And then I have it doing like this little thing at the end. And so basically what this is doing is it's just kind of adding some extra sort of like ear candy to the sound. Like if I get rid of this, you can hear it's kind of, it works, but it's just a little bit simple versus like having this little laser sound. I feel like it adds something really cool to it. So like I said, this is just playing on the upbeats, and then we have this little, that little fill there at the end of every 4 bars. That is kind of important. Having something like that does give it a lot more life because it makes it feel a lot more kind of like, it gives the listener something a little bit more interesting. So then for the sound on this one, this was made using Operator. And what this is just a square wave. Just, that's all it is. No FM or anything. I just have that going into this pitch envelope. And so what the pitch envelope is doing is, you can hear it's taking it from this low pitch up to here and then back down. Just really quickly like that. So pretty simple stuff. It's not that difficult to make like a laser sound like this. It's just a matter of, kind of like working with the pitch envelope and getting it kind of really fast. So then after that, I just have a little bit of echo. This is just doing 16 notes, and that's really it for the zap. So then the next thing that we have here is this 808 rim shot, which sounds like this. So it's just a little percussion sound that you hear in there. Pretty simple stuff. All this is just like your standard 808 rim shot. And then I just have this going through a little bit of reverb. And the reverb, you can see I've got a really short size and decay time. And then I've just got the pre-delay on there. So it's kind of like the reverb sort of bounces off of the sound. And it kind of brings it to life a little bit more. The next thing we have here is this hi-hat, which sounds like this. And so this is just a simple kind of like pretty standard sort of punchy house hi-hat. The only thing with this is just like the sample. Like you just need to make sure you get a really big sounding one, like something kind of like this. This one is available in the description as well if you're looking for this one. But yeah, like just something like this. It's really powerful and has like that really sharp kind of crisp high end and isn't like, isn't like too weak. Like you don't want like a little 808 hi-hat or something like that. So the next time we have here is this little clave, which sounds like this. So basically what this is doing is it's kind of playing off of like what the claps are doing. And you can hear what happens is basically the clap hits on every 2 and the 4, like that. And then this is just hitting on the first. basically the first of each of those. So, just kind of like something, adds a little extra ear candy, you can see. Yeah, it's just kind of in there, it's one of those extra little percussion kind of things. So the next thing that we have here is the clap, which is 2 layers, and it sounds like this. So basically what this is it's just 2 layers. Like I said, we have this one, which is kind of more in the mid-range, and then this one, which has more of that kind of cracky, like high-end and high mid-range. So then what I've got going on here is I just have these kind of layered together. It helps to kind of get a more full sound. You kind of get the best of both as opposed to just using one. Like either one of these on their own is a little weak, I feel like, but when we have them together, you can hear it feels a lot more full. So then, yeah, just have a little bit of EQ on that, just kind of boosting the high end. You can hear just kind of bringing out that like crispness a little bit more. So after that, I have all this percussion in a little group. It's very similar to the kick and the bass group, just kind of trying to take all these similar sounds and sort of process them together to kind of glue them together a little bit more. So here's with nothing. And then with the effects. So you can hear that this has like definitely a big effect on the sounds. So the first thing we have here is this drum bus, which is just kind of doing this. You can see I've got the drive up a little bit, I've got the crunch up a little bit. And it's just kind of taking everything and giving it a little bit more grit, a little bit more texture, and kind of gluing it all together and helping to put all the percussion in the same place. After that, we just have the CQ8, which is just cutting out a little bit of low end. You can see there's kind of a bit going on there. And that is it for the percussion bus. So the next thing that we have here is this little vocal sample, which sounds like this. So what this is basically, it's just meant to be some kind of like ear candy, if you have, it's like I was saying like with the zap and stuff, if you use just the most basic layers, like we just have basically the bass line and the drums. You can hear that works for a little bit, but it gets kind of boring. So having something like this, it gives you something that isn't like super melodic. Like it still has the kind of like tight, sort of groovy underground bass line sound in this track, but it's something, just some kind of extra sort of lead instrument on top of things. So what we've got going on here is I just have this little vocal stab, and I just have it kind of playing off of the rhythm of the beat here. Like it's playing on this upbeat here, and then it's playing on the 3. You can see I pitched it down a little bit as well. That's just to put it in the key with the track. And yeah, after that, I just have a little bit of reverb on there so you can see I've got this one set like this. I've got the really short decay time, really short size. And then we have a ton of pre-delay. So it's kind of like, you can hear if I turn that off. It doesn't have that same kind of like ringing out. Like it doesn't ring out in the same way. So that's the purpose of the reverb. So then the last thing that we have here is just this little vocal stab, which sounds like this. This is similar to the last one. It's just this little kind of thing I took and I just pitched it down a little bit. And then that's just playing on the last upbeat of every 2 bars there. So you can hear it just kind of, it's something to kind of go in there. Because you can hear if I turn it off, there's nothing really kind of changing at the end there. It's just the same thing that it was in the last bar. I'm trying to add stuff to keep it interesting throughout and not have it just be like, the same little 1-bar loop over and over and over again. And with that, that is pretty much it for this one. I've shown you everything in this project file. And yes, that is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed very much. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. And let me know what video you want to see me make tomorrow as well. As usual, you get the project file and the samples and MIDI and presets, all that kind of stuff in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it will all be available there shortly. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.